Hi, I'm Bran, and I love The Way Home.
I'm Ryan, and I like The Way Home.
I'm Dan, and I despise The Way Home, and this is the Deck the Hallmark
Podcast.
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
Deck the Hallmark, it's this podcast.
Brandon and friends host this podcast. We hope you like this jolly podcast.
Oh my
A
god!
little bit of trivia for you. Brain hasn't left me that high and dry on the Deck the Hallmark podcast since the pilot episode, which I believe I say by myself in the pilot episode. You guys were like, let's let Dan handle this.
Yeah, no one's left you that high and dry since your ex-wife. Am I right?
Bingo. Yeah,
Got him.
since the Way Home episode 9. Am I right?
Way Home, Way Home,
boy.
episode 9.
Oh dear.
A double feature today, everybody. So you'll when this episode ends, you can just go and then listen to episode 10.
Yeah, we're recording it early because we just watched 9. We're gonna do this, boy. We're gonna watch 10 and do that.
We didn't want to shortchange it. We didn't want to just do one big boy just because Dan couldn't leave Mexico.
I offered several solutions to this problem, and I want to be very clear about that. One of which was I watched the episode. You didn't hear this, Ryan. I watched the episode and I filmed my segments. So I would film my segments and then try to act like we had an inside joke going of some sort. But I would just film like my hot take, my all the feels, and you could just be like, Dan, what do you think? And it would be there. And Bran didn't like that. From all the people that wouldn't like that idea, I thought Bran would be most on board with it, believe it or not.
Maybe that's just how we do Ride. Like that's just the format for Ride.
Yeah.
My thing is if it was not like now, if it was not episodes 8, 9, and 10,
Yeah, that's right. It would
maybe
be fun.
it just feels the stakes are too high,
Stakes
Dan,
are high. Yeah,
to
yeah.
goof off.
This
to
episode
do a
has
goof.
a lot of death in it, and I'm there like on a beach in Mexico, like, well, what I thought was.
That was a bummer when he died.
So next week, are we doing 2 episodes of Ride?
We're doing 2 episodes of Ride, everybody. Don't
week.
get used to this, though. We're
No,
not
no,
doing
No.
double feature Wednesdays.
Right, we had to do a lot of negotiation with Ryan's lawyers to get 2 episodes a week for 2 weeks in a row. But thanks for playing
the
ball with us.
negotiational period over whether or not I would wake up. At one point, there was a scenario where I was waking up very early, and that was
out. Yeah.
contentious. The three of us have gotten along famously, other than
That's right.
those brief moments in time.
Man,
Yes.
had we gotten a screener though, could have gotten ugly. It could have gotten early.
We
early there.
We are doing a lot of things here for you against you right now. It's WrestleMania week.
That's right.
WrestleMania on Saturday and Sunday, right? They do it on 2 days now because
Big Show versus Lex Luger. Is that correct?
well, it's a big show.
You're not close, Stan. No. But no, it's a big
US
show.
Bills?
WrestleMania is a big event. Yes.
Is Saturday considered the B day or
No, definitely not. I mean, it's just genuinely, you're supposed to view it as one continuous show. It's like basically like we take an intermission at the end of Saturday. Everything is on equal footing.
So there's WrestleMania is 2 days long.
2 days now. Is the reason why this happened is because what was it, like 5 or 6 years ago? It was in Orlando, and it was like an 8-hour long show. And the sun, there was a weird thing with the sun. People were upset in the crowd. Is this ringing any bells?
That weird thing where the sun it sets. No,
It goes down every night.
It sets and wrestlers can't see.
No, WrestleMania. I mean, I definitely think it's a problem you want to have. Whereas, as the years have gone on here in recent years, we have more and more incredible talent, and so biggest show of the year, we spread the wealth. I mean, I think none of us would object if the Super Bowl was 2 days long, except that doesn't make total sense. And then the Way Home schedule would have been just nightmarish.
You can't stage the Super Bowl, Ryan.
Well, hold on. Not here, not now.
But also,
not this week.
I know it's not Take It to the Mat or whatever that dumb segment's called, but just real quick in one word, Eddie Guerrero or Rey Mysterio?
Eddie Ray with a hyphen there in between. They're both fantastic.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Which one?
I'd lean Eddie, but here's what's cool, Dan. You couldn't have known this when you asked. Literally at WrestleMania this weekend, Rey Mysterio is fighting his son, Dominic Mysterio. Yeah, which if at one point Eddie and Ray battled over the custody rights of Dominic,
right.
and now
Oh my
Ray
gosh.
and Dominic are fighting one another because Dominic's been yapping off at the mouth about his dad in recent months.
I can't.
Is it a first one to pull off the mask wins situation?
No. Just Dominic was very, very mean to his mother on television recently, and Ray was like, "I'm not going to hit my kid," and then he was like, "Don't you talk about your mom?" And now here we are.
But Ray doesn't wear a mask anymore, right?
No, he does. He's
back in it.
He's out.
He's back in it.
Is
in
Dominic
his entire
masked?
WWE run, he's had a mask on. Yeah.
Okay. I
Dominic
remember
masked?
him being unmasked on WCW.
Yeah, and the other fun point, Dan, well, really quite a question that you didn't like. Rey Mysterio is also being inducted into the Hall of Fame this coming Friday.
I can't believe that he still wrestles. I have to be honest.
Legitimately, Dan, still one of the best out there. Legitimately.
Does he still flip and everything?
Oh yeah,
like the whole
you know what's interesting about wrestling? If I was smarter, I would have write a paper about this. Like, you really like your body hardens to how physical it is. You can still do incredibly athletic things like well into your 40s, where it's like in any other professional sport, 38, 39, if you're not Tom Brady, you're maxed out. Like, all these guys who are incredible flippity dippity doodah guys can still do all that stuff well into their 40s. It's really
Rey
incredible.
Mysterio's got to be in his 50s. Has to be.
Late 40s, I do believe. Don't quote me.
All right. I guess we can get to the way home. I know the people.
I want to
he's 48. He's 48. You nailed it, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you. I only have one job.
Well, it's a great job. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
The Way Home, episode 9.
Oh, this is big time.
It's called The Day the Music Died. It originally aired on March 19th, 2023, and it went a little something like this. The episode kicks off. We're in the year 2000, and Kat and Brady are out on a date. She's talking about how it's been tough and wants to go to maybe potentially go with him, and like it's been this whole thing. And so they pull up to the house, and there is a cop, and the cop tells Kat that there was an accident, a truck went off the road, and that didn't survive. So that's how it happened. That's how we find out. Back in 2023, Kat tells Alice that she's going to the spa for a weekend. Okay. And by spa, she means she's going to the spa of Elliot's house. Am I right? Yeah. So she tells Elliot that she needs to go back to 2000 this weekend to figure out what happened to her dad. And Elliot is like, it's foolish me for thinking we were actually going to spend time together this weekend. Stupid dummy. And so she hops in the pond and then hops into her dad's truck. As she does, there's a blanket back there, as there typically is.
He always keeps the one. You
gotta keep it back there. You never know what you might need to cover up. Yeah. You never know what you might need.
Kind of dead body.
Exactly right. So she goes and she sees him go into this woman's house. And she's like, dadgummit, my dad is cheating. So she goes to peek into a window. He sees her, opens up the door, and is like, come on in. It turns out it is a group grief counseling meeting that he goes to twice a week. She sees her dad talk about how he feels lost, doesn't know how to be a present husband or father anymore. She goes back, talks to Elliot about it, and Alice goes on a walk with Dell. And she tells her that the pond freezes over, which is nice to know.
It's good to know.
Can't this is how
if it's frozen.
Dell doesn't know about the time traveling pond. She just takes her to the pond and says, "This pond freezes over."
That's right.
So do with that what you will.
Cut and dry, literally.
Cut and dry. No big deal here. So she decides that she's going to jump in one last time. Because it might freeze, to sing with
in
Colton.
The pond with you one last time.
Thank you. That's beautiful. The Way Home Hamilton crossover that we've all been.
And let's start going home. Yeah.
Nailed it. So she goes to sing.
Now let's all going home. You got it.
The Way Home. Yeah.
We've got it, guys. You guys are doing great.
Stay tuned for that album. It's dropping.
This is great.
Sorry.
So she goes to sing with Colton.
Don't you apologize.
One last time. And she's, after singing with him, she's like crying. She walks, goes into the pond. She comes back out. She's crying some more. We then see Kat and Elliot, and she tells him that she spent the day trying to time travel, but the pond wouldn't let her. She says it's never happened before, and he says it has happened before. Alice told me that it's happened before. She and Elliot then argue about time travel because she still is kind of like, maybe I can change things. And he's like, we still doing this here, huh? We still doing this now, huh? You literally dropped your brother off at home. Can't change anything, pal. And also, I kind of just wanted to like hang out. Can we just hang out? Can we just be present in the present?
In the present.
In the present.
The present is a present.
That's right.
Amen?
You said it.
She goes back and Alice catches her. She's like, oh, mom's been time traveling. She was not at a spa, unless you consider the pond a spa, which, you could. I don't know.
You can turn it into one.
Slather some mud on you, have your day. I don't know. So she goes to talk to her mom and is like, you lie. And she asks her to spend the night like, hey, mom, I miss you. Will you just sleep in my bed with me? And she says, okay. But she sneaks out early. She's going back to the pond. She has a problem. Alice follows her, though. She doesn't know that. So she gets out of the pond. She sees that it's night. She's just like, okay, this is the night. This is the night. So she runs to the road that she knows that her dad drives his truck on. At the same time, we see Elliot, who is reading newspapers from that time, and reads that there was an eyewitness to the crash that saw two women in the road just before he crashed. Mm-hmm. And he's like...
No, saw two women running through the woods.
Okay. Yeah. And so he's like, oh, I see what's going on here. So cut back to that night. They're in the road arguing about, the fact that they're here now in the road. And the truck begins to come. And Alice is like in the way. So Kat goes to push her out of the way. And at the same time, causing Colton to swerve the truck into the old steel cage of rocks that they have on the side of the road in Canada.
That's right.
And she's like, no, she's screaming, she's yelling. She pulls him out of the truck and she's like, no, Dad, I'm going to save you. And he says, I love you, Catherine, and passes away. And that, my friends, was The Way Home, episode 9.
Episode 9. The day the music
we
died.
say the season?
Yeah.
Alexander Hamilton.
Oh. Hamilton.
Let's take a quick break. We'll come back and we will break this episode down here on
9, Father Split.
Landry sisters. Welcome back, everybody. We're talking about The Way Home, episode 9.
Is Cat short for Catherine?
Yes.
Catherine, Alice, and Del.
What's Del short for? Deloise?
Delilah?
Delilah?
Hey there, Delilah. What's it like in Hamilton? Let's break this episode down. Yes, I know we're late. Yes, I know there's been internet discord going on about this episode, but we haven't talked about it, the three of us.
And it's not been done until Deck the Hallmark.
That's exactly right.
Preach, Dan.
Ryan?
Yes.
What'd you think about episode 9?
What's cool about this hot take is everyone was willing to wait for it. And
wait for it.
Wait for it.
Wait for it. Here is Ryan's hot take. It comes right now.
You two don't know about this about me. The audience probably doesn't know this about me. I love a penultimate episode. I may love a penultimate episode more than the ultimate episode.
Wow.
Because especially with what I do for a living, I love hype. I love getting excited about things. And the penultimate episode's role is to get you excited for the season finale. It is the fight poster of season episodes is the penultimate episode. And this did not let me, I mean, the first scene alone, Bran, as you articulated there, really set the stage. And it was much like a couple episodes this season, that high octane nature never let up, whether it was, the scenes between, Kat and her dad, or the Dell components of all of these things. The ending sequence just hit right. And to a point where we probably could have all somewhat surmised that something along those lines were to happen. But Dan, as you and I have talked about several times, at least I'll be curious about your thoughts. No rules were broken as far as I'm concerned. What happened. It was a very clever way to do it. The performances were excellent. I will have a decently big wait what in terms of editing and writing. But other than that, an excellent episode of The Way Home and a damn good episode of TV.
We can say damn now. Hallmark's doing
That's right.
it.
Hallmark's doing it.
They gave us the okay.
My B.
No,
we can. We can. They've been saying it.
Don't throw away your shot.
That's me.
I love this program. I love this television program. And I know it probably just at this point, it's just, it's maybe going on deaf ears because I've been saying it so much this season, but I just love it. I just think this is so good. If it wasn't on Hallmark, I'd still be watching it. If I stumbled upon this, it has enough going on to keep me interested. So I'm not just saying it's a good show because it's like good by Hallmark standards. It's great by Hallmark standards, and it's also a really good show. Period. We got like a kind of like closure. Like we actually know that Dad is for sure dead. We saw him take his last breath. There's no way to fake that. He didn't like fall into the pond accidentally somehow.
Save it for season 7.
So he's back. And yeah, the tension building was great. It's great. I keep waiting for it not to be, and it keeps being. So keep being on and keep going and doing. Loved it. Dan?
Yeah, this is a gripping episode of television. I would have actually loved this. I don't know what's going to happen next week. I would have loved this as the finale because it's dark, very dark.
Yep.
I mean, we come to the realization in this episode that future Kat, has basically caused all of the problems in her life. Yeah. All of them. Not some of them, all of them. She's caused them all, right? Her brother, her dad, all of them, every single one of them is because of her meddling in the past. That's a really dark thing to sit with the rest of your life. My concern is that this is a really dark, deep thing to deal with. I don't know how the show is going to handle that much weight in the present day, knowing that we have to continue to go back in time because that's what makes the show what the show is. As a finale, it's great because you get some answers to questions. You realize that the problem has been the fact that they've been going back in time this whole time and they shouldn't have done it. And they don't break any rules at all. The rules stand. And it's wonderful. It almost answers too much, and it makes me a little concerned about the finale. But you have a few fun things here. Jacob's still out there. White Witch still out there. Frozen Pond could be fun. I just, if this was the last thing we got, I think a lot of fans would have been disappointed. I would have been thrilled because talk about a dark, melancholy note to end this thing on. That's big. That'd be a big way to end, big swing, and I really would have enjoyed it. So, yeah, this is one of my favorite episodes of the season, if not my favorite episode of the season. Really, really good television. Big fan of this one. Absolutely.
I think the episode with Jacob is still my favorite episode. Like
that
tension
one
building,
is unbelievable.
That episode, the way they
want to, and that's one.
Yeah, the way they built tension in that episode was just like I
wasn't anticipating getting a full answer to the dad in season 1. So the fact that we, for all intents and purposes, have wrapped him is something. Like I understand we've got, I mean, there's going to be a funeral that's coming up at some point, and we've got to like do that. But like we saw the character die. So like the fact that we've at least we've got that this early in the show is shocking.
She's also got to spend some more time with him. I don't know even if I said it in the synopsis, but she like rides in the truck with him.
And then he talks to her right before he dies.
So a lot of that there. Let's get to the feels. Ryan, what you got, bud?
I mean, what you just said would have been a great contender, and I'm sure one of us will elaborate on the final scene, so I won't do that. I actually pegged this as an all the feels earlier this season. Colton and Alice playing music together gets me every time.
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm not being funny. If I'm sounding facetious, I'm not. It's beautiful, and it's a very earned moment at this point in the season. The relationship between Colton and Alice, although it's honestly only probably been a handful of scenes, really feels just very organic. And, obviously there's the Colton Kat connection, like you just mentioned, Bran, but Colton and Alice is obviously a pairing that's really, really rewarding as well. And then that scene parlayed into the goodbye from Alice to Colton, which was just gut-wrenching in the best way possible. And then the scene with Alice and Del in present day just broke me. It was really, Dan, to your point, just like what an emotional wallop this all packed. And all of that together got me, and several other points got me, but that's what I wanted to highlight.
Yeah, I think what's so fun, or what makes this show so compelling, is it does make you think a lot about time and what you would do if you had a pond, and like the idea of going back and having the type of conversations that she's having with her dad, and like thinking about it for yourself, like if I could only have 5 more minutes, like that would be amazing. And so I think just her talking to Elliot in that moment before, when she's excited about the conversations that she's had with her dad, even though it ultimately leads to her thinking that she can save it again, which is crazy and ludicrous. Like, but believable. Like,
yeah, no. You still would try.
It's what we all would do.
If I knew my dad had died, and when I was a teenager, and I knew I couldn't fix it, would I still try? Absolutely. Yes.
It'd be insane not to. Yeah.
So I think just her excitement about that gave me feels and just made me think. Dan?
Have you seen the movie About Time? We've had this discussion before. You have seen it.
I have.
Just figured I'd mention it for everybody. If you've not seen it, everything you just said, that's why that movie is one of my favorite movies. I love it. This was as emotional as I think I've been in the show's run. There is a great scene where Colton is at his grief group and Kat is there, and he starts talking about his family and how much he loves his family. And he stops and he says, Kat is my whole world. And she just, and so for me, like, whenever I have to be hard on my kids, what's really hard for me is like thinking about it later. Like, even if I needed to be hard on my kids, it's hard for me to think about it later, thinking about that being the lasting impression my children get from me, because I don't ever want that. I want them to know that I love them, and that's what's most important. And so I know when I tell my kids I love them, it just rolls off their back and they don't care. But in this moment, Kat gets to see her dad say these great things about her and know that he means it, because he thinks she's not there. And that was really awesome. Like to get to have that moment, even though he doesn't realize it, was so really, really cool. And so I really enjoyed that scene quite a bit.
I don't know, man. I live next door to you. The things I hear over the fence. We're going to take a quick break. We're come back with the way what's here on Deck the Hallmark.
How'd it feel to say it by yourself? Good.
I miss it.
Welcome back to
Deck the
Hallmark.
He's on delay. We'll give him a break.
But it's great. It's great. One more quick feels, if you not
really how it works, Bran.
No, I'm sorry, you missed the time.
No, you'll all be on board with this one. You'll all be on board with this one.
Wait for it.
Philo's been giving me this feels the entire run of this series, because we get to watch it and I don't got to sit through the commercials, the one button ad skip.
Dude,
it's wonderful.
It's the best way to watch this.
And you can watch both of these episodes, 9 and 10.
Most of this episode
that we're releasing today on Philo. So go there now.
You know what's great about Philo is you can watch Ride, you can watch The Way Home, you can watch the Hallmark movies, but also like,
Are you promoting Ride right now? We haven't even watched it
but
yet.
I'm not saying it's good. I've not seen it. I'm assuming it's
Giddy
not,
up!
but
Mellowstone.
but like you can watch all of them.
Yeah.
We call it the Holiday Movie Hub, but all year long you can watch
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Great.
It's fantastic.
So great. Saddle up your horses. We got a trail to blaze.
We got a trail to blaze.
Whoa. Through the let's get to the wait what's, and I will kick it over to Ryan. Ryan, what you waiting? What you what?
Yeah, I got a few. I'll go through them quickly. Cat, planes, trains, and automobiles again in this episode. And it seems like it's a pretty long ride in the back of Colton. I mean, like if he hits one bump, her life could be in peril.
Short bed Fords from the circa 1970s are not known for really being smooth rides.
I love the film, but shout outs to Steve Martin, but come on. Kind of dangerous that 2000 timeline Cat just leaves those lights on over her bed while she goes to see Brady in Michigan. Like it could start a fire. I mean, like again, like the sanctity of the timeline is very important.
We don't have LED lights back then.
That's what I mean, like all the more reason for caution.
Right. Caution.
Cat and Alice would be getting pneumonia with the pond. They're always wet. I give the show
they've stopped caring. They've stopped caring about.
Trying.
It's one thing in September. It's one thing at the beginning of the school year. But Dell's telling us that the pond's about to freeze over. I mean,
January
hypothermia.
In Canada.
One thing I know about the Canadian cold is that when you're wet, you dry really quickly, which is super cool. Like you're actually good to go. Nothing happens. No problems.
They're resilient. Two more. Why do we care about that guy's catering job? Why do we care about it? Is there a reason we should care about his catering job?
No, 100% not.
They keep bringing.
It is the weirdest thing.
I'll give the show the benefit of the doubt.
I don't even know the kid's name because I didn't think I had to. But they keep bringing him in here.
Devin?
There's like a weird,
Aiden?
they have this weird love tension because he has a girlfriend.
Yeah,
and Alice is always there, and it's like a weird thing.
Maybe season two. There's got to be a reason for it. It's just the one outlier in this entire
high
season.
School. Why does he have a catering business?
That's another. I mean, that's what the hallmark.
It's the worst written part of this show.
Weird.
It's the worst written part of this show. There's no question about it.
Yeah. He's one of those guys that could either become a front runner in season 2, where we get a lot of them, or he could be recasted and no one would know.
But
it doesn't matter.
Alice's high school cohorts in present day are the least important part of this show. Right now, they could become important, but right now they just are exactly what she says. Like she mentions, like she's not really been around much. So there's that.
Right. Totally agreed. And then the last one, and I have rarely, because the show has been so good, rarely whatted the quality of the program. But Kat says she can't go to the past, and it's just exposition. She just tells Elliot, apparently there's 5 or 6 attempts for her to go through the pond, and the pond says no, and we just hear about it. And then they have a conversation, and she just shows up in the past. That all felt a little. The show has been excellent, but ultimately, I still have to point these things out when I see them. That was tell, not show, and I didn't like it.
It felt as though the first time the show was in a time crunch.
Yeah,
and they knew what they had to do, and they didn't have the time to do it.
It is interesting. Like, why is that? Why are there days when you can't? If it takes you where you need to go, regardless.
Sometimes you need to be in the present. So the pond takes you where you need to go.
That's well put. Yeah.
All right, fine. All right, great. We did it.
Oh, shoot, you wanted me to wait a little bit longer?
I wanted you to not. I just don't. Mister, I have all the answers. You're being a real burr. I have a couple. I do want to talk about the pond freezing. And namely that should be, I would be then nervous knowing that the pond freezes, because if it
Bran has a drowning
yes, I am terrified of drowning.
I can't.
No, some more than others. Water, I don't even shower. So you jump in, the pond is partially frozen. But what happens if you pop out? I know it takes you where you need to go, so you probably
it's never going to take you to where you need to go, and it's death.
Yes, but like that means like winter comes at different times. Like, what if you pop up and it's frozen time? You're in the frozone. Like, I would be concerned. The fact that the pond freezes in different, like, it's not fully frozen, it's partially frozen, but then fully freezes. I don't know. I'd be nervous. We know that the pond is, though, not. I don't know. The whole thing. It's like snow on the ground, and when they're there. With the dad, and this is cold, but it's not frozen. When does it get frozen?
Here's what I can tell you is that them telling us that the pond freezes,
it has to
be for a reason.
Yeah.
But you will hear from me. This is the winter in Canada. When it freezes, that is a block freeze for the winter.
Yeah,
right.
It's not going to unfreeze. If they don't do something with this or make it consistent, you're going to hear from me.
I have to imagine they do something,
because
right? They have to do something.
If they mention it,
hey, you'll have to deal with me, showrunners of this television
next
program.
week in the cage of WrestleMania, if that pond's not frozen, sorry,
Get the tables.
Let me tell you something, brother.
That was good stuff.
Yeah.
I had one more and then I got distracted. So you go ahead, Dan.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. I do love, and we said it in the synopsis, Colton is consistently keeping one blanket in his truck, and it is impressive. Does he have a bunch of blankets? No. Does he have nothing? No. He's a keep one blanket in the back of the truck kind of guy. Those guys don't exist, but he's one of them. I'm going to keep an old blanket in the back of my old truck just in case someone needs to hide underneath it. Weird to say the least. You know what else is weird is the fact that at the grief meeting, the person in charge of it says she thanks Colton for bringing her a new recruit. That is not how you should ever say that. Ever, right? That's a grief group, not a cult.
Come to my grief group.
You brought us some fresh meat, huh? Oh, somebody else is sad about death. Fan-freaking-tastic. We're in the business of grief over here. Here's some Kool-Aid. That is not what we need to hear. Not at all. Elliot strolls into the diner to get dinner for he and Kat and goes up to the front of it and is like, I'm ordering food to go for two because my girl's staying at my house. You know what I'm saying? And then this woman's like, great, let me get you a one-page menu. You've been in town your whole life. You've been in this town since the town began, since the Reagan administration, and you need to look at a menu. A one-page menu is what you need to look at. Get out of here. Get out of here, Elliot. Get out of here, small town. No way, no how. That's terrible.
He only orders coffee there usually. He doesn't know.
Best we can figure, it's the only restaurant in town too. So
and lastly,
there's the Lobster Social.
Yes, man.
You seen that menu there? You know?
Oh, it's a good menu this week. We're off it.
It's too cold. It's frozen over.
Pond's frozen. No lobster for these jokers.
Pond?
ASL.
Come on, man. Listen.
So anyway, the last one I have, and I think this is unfortunate and could possibly be sink or swim, but they could do this show without Kat continually lying to her daughter as much as she lies to her. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like we both know about the pond. We've talked about this already. If you knew that someone in your life, that a loved one was going to die, and you knew you could go back in time and also knew you couldn't stop it, you would still try. You would still try. Kat's actions are not the problem. But to continually look at your daughter and lie about where you're going and what you're doing, instead of just going, look, Alice, I understand it might screw up. I can't not do this. I can't not do it. That's all you say. These two,
I think what
through too much.
I think what's happened to her is being back there and going back there, and time has like brought her back to 17, 18, where you would lie for no reason about it. Like, I think there's something to that.
I can buy that.
Yeah, I guess. I just feel like the mother and daughter have really developed a lot as characters, and kudos to the show for doing that. I just feel like this is something that the show could be the same, even better if it was punched up to be like, I understand what you're saying. I understand you think it's wrong. I still have to do this because I could save my dad. Even though it doesn't make rational sense, this is a better chance than I think I'd ever have in my life, so I'm taking it. Like, you could do that and still make it work.
Sure.
Maybe we get there.
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe.
It's time for sink or swim. Ryan, what are you?
I know that sink or swim has very, very defined parameters.
Rules, yes.
So,
Yeah,
for sure.
much
Like
like
the
time
ponds.
travel itself. Yes, yeah. So I apologize because I now I'm going to break those parameters. I strictly use sink or swim now as my time of the show to highlight Elliot as a supervillain. And so so this week, I mean, really quick to call Kat's dad a cheater. Like,
Yeah.
really quick. He was, I don't know, maybe he was cheating. And then Alice is like, I don't want to go back there. And Elliot's like, oh no, you're going back. This is supervillain stuff. Time and time again. I hope as we approach the finale, as we've rightfully been looking back, but to look ahead, I don't know what's going to happen with again, this might just be the three of us bozos really grasping at the strawiest of straws.
That doesn't sound like us.
No.
But once as I said a few weeks ago, now that I've seen it, I cannot unsee it, and I see more and more every week. Those are what I highlighted this week as I sank and swam.
Well, I would say this. I am still on board with Elliot being a bad guy, but it cooled for me this week because of all the impassioned pleas for her to not go back. Like, if he has a nefarious plan, then he knows, like, at this point, he's still within that realm of being able to control some things. And it seemed like a lot. He's giving the performance of a lifetime here. If he's still got it all the way he wants it. It seemed like it was a lot for him to try. It was almost too much that he was protesting.
Holding out hope. Holding out hope.
I'm holding out hope too, but I'm down. If I was at like 8 of 10, like I'm down to like 6 of 10, whatever that means.
Yeah. Yeah.
Passing grade.
One way he could is if he is the one person that can change things, but chose not to change things because he knew he'd get a kiss out of it.
Oh, yeah,
that's supervillain stuff.
Really
that's supervillain stuff, guys. I'm just throwing stuff out there. I would like to sink steel cages of rocks on the side of the road.
I don't need them.
Why? What are we doing with those? What are we doing with those there? I believe its purpose, and I could be wrong. I genuinely don't know what the purpose of the steel cage on the side of the road filled with rocks is, other than to kill Colton. But also, I believe
over the telephone pole.
Protect the telephone pole. But at what cost? Cost of lives? Like, if he runs into just a telephone pole, sure, the telephone pole might be ruined, but I feel like there's a better chance of surviving that than a steel cage full of rocks. So why are we protecting telephone poles at the cost of human lives?
Should be doing it.
Vote for Brandon 2024. I will get rid of all of them. I don't care what I have to do, even if it's to take it apart the steel cages and disposing of the rocks myself.
What if they wanted to film that scene somewhere on a highway and they didn't want to break the telephone pole, so they built the rocks around?
It's a bold move. I just don't think it's 2020. That was not 2000, but I still think like we can get that back. We can get that bad boy back up.
We
right?
just weren't
think
there
they're
yet
still
in
out
2000.
there?
What?
You think those are still there in
I
2023?
don't know.
That's a great question. If we had the Hallmark segment, we don't.
We don't.
We don't know. We sink or swim on this show.
I know that
I would swim on that. Yeah.
I'll say this. I know that steel cages full of rocks don't need my help to sink, but I'm sinking them anyways.
Sinking them anyway.
That's beautiful, Brandon.
I love this episode of television. I'm actually going to give you a sink though instead of a swim.
Oh.
And I think for me, the sink is that I feel like we're like escalating too quickly. I feel like we're getting too much plot. I did not think we were going to get movement on both Jacob and Dad before the season finale at the earliest. And those are the two best episodes. And you can't do that every week. And so I'm a little concerned that as good as this is, it's too ripe too quickly. And I know that that's a weird problem to have and I should just enjoy it and blah, blah, blah. And I am enjoying it, but this is how my brain works. I'm worried that we're getting too many answers too quickly because we have now hammered the point home that you cannot change the past. You can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. It is what it is. How it happened, happened. So my concern is that How many times can we learn that lesson?
Yes.
So
Would
we
you say
still,
this? Does
Jacob is out there somewhere and we don't know. That is really great. There's this white witch mystery. There's this dude who was running the archives and the paper in town. Like, so we've got some things.
There's the veterinarian.
Yeah.
The lobster social. There are some things, but I'm worried. That's what I'll say.
Are you worried because it feels like a show that didn't know it was getting a second season, so it went too fast? And now, are you now worried just about season 2 and if they can keep it up?
I am very concerned with an episode left that we are going to tie a nice little bow on all the main stuff and try to present us with a new challenge for season 2. And that bothers me. And the reason it bothers me is because these characters and the grief that they're going through is enough to last a series.
Yeah.
It's enough to last 6 seasons in a movie, quote, community. That is more than we need. We don't need anything else. And so I'm worried that we're going to get too many answers and then they're going to be like, but what about this? And it's going to be not as fulfilling or fun or deep. And that is a personal problem that I have. And I hope I'm wrong. And I couldn't be more excited for the season finale.
Would you say it's a major problem? Major problem.
Let's see what you did
It's time for Wrestle to the Ground.
Hey, what is going on?
What are you wrestling to the ground this week?
Just to tie the loop, I just want everyone to know that Mark Paul Gosselaar could not have been more lovely at 90s Con.
Yeah. Did you get him to sign the Power Rangers VHS or no?
And that would have been ridiculous.
Wasn't even in Power Rangers.
Although what a dream that would have been. Chatted with him for, you guys know, at one of these things for about 5 minutes, which is like an eternity at one of these things, talking primarily about Pitch, the show you guys saw.
Did you bring him a
pitch jersey to sign?
And a pitch baseball bat?
Pitch jersey, bat, and ball, all of which I got off eBay. I don't think any of which he had ever seen. Can
I ask you a personal question?
Yeah, please, absolutely.
How much did you spend on all 3 of those things?
No, it couldn't have been more total. I don't have the totals offhand, but I would guess
more or less a Power Rangers VHS.
Right in the wood. I would say $60 for those 3 total.
Okay, that's not bad.
I feel better.
Yeah. And honestly, in that instance, like it was like, man, if Mark Paul could sign these one day, what a cool piece that would be. So it was great. He was great. If Saved by the Bell is your favorite show, or if Zach Morris was your childhood hero, crush, whatever, just know MPG, really cool guy.
Zach Morris is trash. We did, everybody. Congratulations. A whole nother episode coming at you right after this. We're going to play the music. It's going to be done. And then you can just click play on the next episode, whether it's in your podcast feed or on Philo.
Because by then we'll have watched it. We'll know what to think.
We know what's going on. Get after it in just a few seconds. May we be the first to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Deck the Hallmarks of Bramble Jam podcast is produced by Aaron Shea. For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com. For more information on the Deck the Hallmark family, you can go to bramblejamplus.com. Deck the Hallmark is presented by Philo TV. For a free trial of Philo, go to philo.tv/DTH.